I'm back again with another session, and today is season 3, episode 5 happening. And I have another interesting guest with me who is joining from Massachusetts. And I hope that we are going to enjoy a lot of conversation. And this Mona Lisa's talk show is actually getting lots of love, all because of the support that you people are showing, and so many authors are coming and becoming part of the journey. In fact, they are loving the entire session that I'm conducting, so I feel blessed as well. So now today I'm going to introduce you to an amazing writer who is also a journalist. So let me quickly invite Shreya Sarkar. Hi Shreya, welcome to the Mona Lisa's talk show.
Hi, Mona Lisa. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Totally my pleasure. Well, before I start, let me quickly give a small intro about you so that people who are joining they know a little bit about you. So Shreya is a public policy analyst, journalist, and author. She did her undergrad studies in political science at Kolkata's Presidency College and post graduation from Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. And a lot we will talk about her entire journey as a writer and her profile as a writer and journalist through our conversation, through the interview, and through the Q&A that we are going to have. So before I start, I would like to ask Shreya that how much excited you are for this session and how much you were looking forward to this one.
I am so excited. No, I have seen your interviews. I've seen how much fun authors have here. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Lovely. So I'm also blessed to have you, and also this journey has gone so far. I wouldn't have actually imagined that we would come to season 3 already. So this is season 3, and I'm happy to have you today. So let's start with the Q&A. Well, while going through your profile, I was noticing that you're working with Times of India. So I really want to know that why did this desire to shift your base from India to Philadelphia come to you, because you were already working with such a big organization.
No, it was. I was just freelancing. So I was in Calcutta, and I was in the midst of preparing for GRE and applying abroad. And I was also teaching in a college. But I always had this desire to write. So I thought, why don't I join a newspaper if they will have me? And very gracious of them, they were willing to give me a chance. So I wrote a few social, political pieces for them here and there, and it was a short stint. And then, of course, I wanted to continue with my education, with my higher studies, and that's the reason why I left for US and I first came to Philadelphia, and then after that, it has been a long journey to different states in US.
But I would really like to know that why didn't you wait for some time? Maybe you could have, got a better chance or better opportunity within Times of India group, or maybe even like, some bigger other newspaper agencies, and also did that thing like attract you at that point of time?
I was in two minds. A part of me wanted to go for research because there is this bug in me to find out how to dig into data and numbers. So there was that part that wanted to study political science as a discipline, but there was also this parallel desire to keep writing. I think for the time being, I thought, let me hone my skills as a researcher, and then perhaps I can come back. And as luck would have it, later on, after many years of working in a think tank in US, I did turn back to journalism because that is something that spoke to me. I enjoyed writing for people, interviewing people, knowing their personal stories. So yeah, I mean, there are these two things that I always parallelly have tried to do. Learn more about my discipline, do research, do a lot of data sifting. But at the same time, I also want to write about people. So that's the reason why at that point I chose to go for higher studies. But then, what is for you always draws you in. So I came back to journalism after a while.
Okay. Now, another thing that caught my attention in your profile is that you've also worked in public policy research and advocacy in US think tanks. So I really want to know what this think tank is all about.
Sure, sure. So I am a public policy analyst by training. So because I did political science, I wanted to do something in the applied field, you know. So at that time, that was back in 2000, early 2000, 2000. So that is the time when think tanks, which are basically semi-research institutes, were growing in the US. Now India also has a number of think tanks in Delhi, in Bangalore, which is good. They do a lot of research in the field of policy, which doesn't get talked about that much. And Indians, by nature, they have always gone into STEM field in US. You know, I might be one of very few in numbers that has gone into the public policy field. That has looked into policies very carefully, analyzed them, and written about them. So it is not a field that people know much about. So because I was doing political science, I joined a think tank in US where I handled a lot of social policy, policy for women, policy for children, and that also gave me an opportunity to, work closely with people. I went and got to know their personal stories because I had to carry out surveys. And that is how I got interested in writing more about personal stories. I moved from numbers, from data, from writing white papers, research based articles, into writing about human lives and how that felt like. So I transitioned after a while for work. After working about 10, 15 years in a think tank setting, I transitioned from that to writing for newspapers. And then that also drew me into writing fiction. So it has been quite a journey for me, you know.
So are you a full-time writer now, or are you still, like freelancing your writing and your work that you've been doing?
I give a lot of time to writing fiction now, but I still continue writing a few articles, a few political and social articles when I get time. And when the timing is right, when something happens, like now there is a lot of talk about Kamala Harris, becoming. There's a possibility of her becoming the president here. So it's quite a landmark moment. Then
Yeah.
with how things happen in India, Indian election happened. That was quite interesting. So when interesting things happen, I do go back to writing some articles. But yes, my main focus is on writing fiction now.
So you get them published on your blog, or you have some connection with newspapers there and agencies there, and you get them published through those.
I continue freelancing. I write for American Kahani. There is one newspaper based in US. I time to time write for Scroll, for Wire. So I keep freelancing for these newspapers when something important happens, which draws me into writing about them.
So you have your horizon bigger than your blog only. That's good.
I wish I could give more time to my blog. I'm not very organized when it comes to putting my work together in one place. I'm learning, I'm trying. Hopefully, I'll give it some more time.
Nice. Okay, so now I want to know that your debut novel, Beneath the Veneer. So this got published this year or last year?
Beneath the Veneer got published in February of this year in India by Alcove Publishers.
Okay. So firstly, I would really like to know that why did you choose this title? And from the title, what I was guessing is that something mysterious is happening. So I would like to know your take, that how you want to explain what kind of thing is we are expecting from you, from the book as a reader.
Okay, let me quickly show you the book.
Yeah.
This is the cover. It's dark, it's mysterious. So I can't take full credit for the title. My publisher worked with me in arriving at this particular name. Initially, there was a placeholder title called The Fierce Kind, and my publisher told me that it's a very generic term. Why don't you, choose something which tells you more about the story?
Right.
Now, the book is about it's about women, 6 women who come together in this new satellite town right outside Delhi. They have troubled pasts, and the reason why they've moved to this new town is they want to make a fresh beginning. But as time goes, they befriend each other, but they see that there's a sinister side to this new town as well, and they all get embroiled in a crisis. And while getting to know how to come out of that, resolve that, they learn a lot of things, a lot of secrets about the town as well as themselves. This is a book which is on woman camaraderie, woman friendship, and how far they can go to protect themselves and people they love. And it has many layers. So, I was fortunate that, my publisher, they were so good at receiving it the way it is. They understood that there are many layers. So the word veneer might, make sense. So that's how we came on deciding this title.
Okay. And I would like to know that your book, you have done some promotion through India as well as I was going through your profile. So how did that happen? And did you come to India for its promotion? And how do you in future plan to promote it? Because you are also staying there, in abroad. So what kind of scope you have for promotion? Because you have
Thank
got published in India. Yeah.
Right, right. Thank you for that question. It is a very important question, and I get asked this quite often. There are a lot of South Asian writers settled in US, UK, other continents who are, traveling to and fro India. They are trying to straddle both the markets, both India and US. And I will have to say it is challenging because Amazon is not as seamless as you think it is. I thought if it's out on
Yeah.
Amazon, it will be available everywhere. It is, but there are some restrictions. The Kindle format is available in US, UK, other continents. Only in India, you are getting the physical copy as well as the Kindle version. So yeah, it has been a learning experience, for me. I thought because, though I'm settled here for 20 years, I thought because the story is so India based, it is so Indian that I should seek a publisher who is from India. And I was lucky to get in touch with Alcove, which is run by two women writers, and they understood my vision. So it was important for me to get a publisher who understood my writing and my vision as well. But it has been challenging. They have been helping me. My publisher has been helping me in getting the word out. And I'm so thankful, for a platform like yours, because this gives me an opportunity to talk about my book. There are so many books out there in the market, sometimes it gets lost. So
True.
just to separate it, to talk about the kind of story it is, because woman-centric stories are also several kind. This is not a warm and fuzzy story. This is a serious story about a contemporary issue that has not been able to, nobody has been able to resolve it for a long, long time. So I think understanding your audience and your working with your publisher helps a lot. And there are a lot of people, book clubs are there. There are interviews like this. There's a lot of forums, a lot of blogs that talk about your book, and trying to get your book out to the reviewers is also very important to get the word out. And there are a lot of young reviewers on Instagram, on Book Talk, who have been very, very warm in receiving this book.
That's nice. Okay, so before you do the reading segment, let me ask you one more question. I was noticing that you also write short stories and you have been published in some of the known publications. So, what exactly are your short stories about? Like, are they all women centric or you choose different topics? Because I was noticing that your inclination is more towards politics and all.
You know what? Though, yes, I mean, I've been trained to do that. But my short stories are about a lot of things. It's not just woman centric. This particular book is woman centric because of obvious reason. But I have written short stories about children, about climate. I've written sci-fi also. Especially when COVID happened, I had a lot of extra time, so I introspected and wrote stories that came to me just naturally, organic, in a very organic way. And also I have been approached by magazines run by friends who keep saying that, write about different things, give us a diverse perspective of your interests. So I've tried to diversify with my short stories. It's not just about politics, it's mostly about society. It's also a lot about human psyche and relationship.
Okay, that's nice. So, do you plan to publish them as a paperback as well? Your collection of short stories?
I wish they do get published, because they're very close to my heart. I started writing fiction in mid 30s, and I don't have any training to do that. So they are straight for my heart, and I do wish it comes together as a collection. But I keep hearing that collection of short stories, though people do like to read about it, publishers don't want to pick them up very easily unless you're really famous or sought after. But
That's true.
yeah, I'll keep working with people who are looking at anthologies.
Yeah. One of that person is me. Because
Okay,
I'm also a publisher.
yeah, I know. We should talk about it, definitely. I would be very interested.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so about your book, Beneath the Veneer, do you like to read something from your book?
Yes, I will read an excerpt from here. So let me just give you a bit of a background. There
Sure.
is this girl, these six women, one of their daughters, she gets kidnapped. So the part that I'm reading is about her. Her name is Madhuri. Madhuri was dressed in a dark blue salwar kameez. It was one of those new salwar suits in her sparse wardrobe that was kept aside for special occasions. The occasion felt special enough to her. She had reasoned while donning it. The active buzz of the fair made her hum a cheerful tune as she stood watching a magic show. The magician was converting a bunch of yellow plastic flowers into multicolored ones when someone tapped her shoulder lightly. Are Madhuri, you're here all alone? It was Shambhu, her father's drinking buddy. Madhuri was giggling like how a bird might laugh, a giddy twitter, which she muffled with her hand as she caught sight of Shambhu. He made her a tad nervous. It was his over eagerness that made her apprehensive. Shambhu noticed her every now and then as she walked around Rangvihar. He observed her when she left for school in her ironed uniform, or when she ran out to buy a loaf of bread in her slippers. Even as she bent over dirty pans she cleaned in their alley sometimes. Her back would stick to her kameez, made translucent by the water that had splashed on it, her spine seeming as delicate as that of a fish. Looking at her made him forget the squalor surrounding him. Of course, Madhuri was unaware of the effect she had on him, but had noticed his eyes following her. But right now, she looked distracted, as if something was tugging at her attention, taking her far away from him. No, I'm not alone. I came here with my friends, and Ma will be joining me soon, she said, deliberately adding the last bit of information.
That's quite interesting, and I see the setting is totally Indian. So, one question that I would like to ask here is that you have been living there abroad for 20 years. So, why did you choose the setting to be a bit, like places you have been to? You know, it's all
Sure.
Indian. I just want to know why.
Sure. I believe I have more than one book in me, so I will definitely talk about New England. It's so beautiful here. One has to come here to understand how lovely it is nature-wise. But yeah, why I chose this topic, ever since Nirbhaya happened, I have grown more and more conscious about how these terrible, horrible stories hit the headline and then they disappear. And then there's a repeat incident, like recently the Archikor incident. It's horrible, but I just feel that these things happen and people react for a while and they disappear. And I think one of the reasons why this keeps happening is we only know the number, the data. There is no personal connect. with these. I felt that it's time that we brought these stories together in some format, and converted them into fiction so that people start thinking about it more deeply at a societal level, that people start introspecting about what kind of society we are living in and what can we do as an individual citizen to take care of it, because all regimes have failed to help this kind of problem get resolved. So I just felt that is an important topic and it keeps repeating. It's also very universal, it happens everywhere in the world. It's not just India.
Yeah.
So, and being an immigrant, let me tell you here why this topic. Being an immigrant, because I grew up in India and I came here, I was conditioned to always think about my safety. Wherever I went, the first thing that came to me is when I'm going to return home, am I going to be safe? Is it secure? So this kind of weighs down on Indian women a lot. And wherever they go, even if they change the continent, they carry this burden with them. And because it stayed with me, I thought, why don't I write about it? Because this is something that worries me.
That's true. So I hope that many people, pick your book and they should read and they should feel enlightened, because as a society, as people, we have to, we can do a bit, but otherwise it's really difficult to change the mindsets of those people who, go and commit such things. I
Mhm.
don't think it's really possible to change their mindsets, because it's something with the upbringing, or I don't know what it is.
Yes.
Anyway, let's
Uh,
move on to, yeah, please.
Yeah, I just want to add here, I feel that when I say that I want to write about contemporary topics, I want to mention here that I feel enough doesn't get spoken about woman camaraderie, woman friendship. They're
Yeah.
always pitted against each other because that's sensational. But women can be friends, and an Indian household is the best example to show how diverse woman network can be. And I wanted to show that in a story, and I wanted it to be relatable. That's one of the reasons why I chose this topic.
So one thing I would like to ask, that you have mentioned that you have shown the friendship of six women. So all these women are of similar age, or there's some age gap, or so, like there's gap of generations here.
They come from different walks of life, different
Okay.
socioeconomic strata. They befriend each other before the crisis hits them. So they already
Okay.
know of each other, though they are coming from different social backgrounds, they have suffered. So they have the empathy to understand the other woman's problem. And I just mentioned that, it's how a household in India works. Early in the morning, the maid comes, dudwala comes, the driver comes. You interact on a daily basis with so many people. And you form
Yeah.
these bonds with them, and there is this codependency that grows. I think that is
True.
the basis of this book, that there are many organic relationships, friendships we form in our household that we don't even realize that we have. We just take them for granted, but they can act as a social net sometimes, and they can protect us.
Absolutely. Now, there's another interesting question I want to ask you. As I was going through your profile, I noticed that you have this interesting thing that you recreate traditional Bengali delicacies into your version of meal. So first, I want to know that can we expect a cookbook from you in the future? And second, what kind of recreations you are doing, and are you actually putting them, compiling them somewhere, and publishing it, like through maybe a blog or something, because people should know those recipes.
Now, you are so inspiring, Mona Lisa. I have to tell you that. When I miss Kolkata, when I miss India, that is what I do. I sigh, go to my kitchen, and I assemble all the local ingredients that I have. So we don't have data, shojne data here, but we have
Okay.
asparagus, So I
Okay.
swap. And because I'm from West Bengal, not from East Bengal, my ancestors are not from East Bengal. We use posto a lot, so I use
Okay.
posto in everything.
Okay.
And there's squashes here which are very fresh. They taste wonderful. It just goes very well with Bengali recipes. Now that you've mentioned it, Perhaps I should put them together in a place and look at them more carefully. But
Absolutely.
I always think, Bengali immigrants here, they're all such good cooks. They're secret cooks, all of them. The more they miss their
Mhm.
country, the more they cook. But they don't talk about it so much. So I don't know if people will be interested. They're pretty accomplished.
I think you should make it a passion project of yours and get some more people involved and get a voluminous book out there.
Okay, that's a good idea. I'll look into it definitely. Thank you.
Okay. So ready for the rapid fire?
Sure.
This is another interesting segment. So okay, let's start. What are you currently reading?
I'm rereading Sylvia Plath, The Bell Jar. It's amazing. It's heartbreaking but beautiful.
Okay. I'll also read it. Since you have mentioned Sylvia Plath, I think I should also go back and pick that book. Okay,
Yeah.
so what is the weirdest food you have eaten?
Weirdest? I had snail once. I thought it's going to be God knows what, but it was not that bad. French food is always experimental, right?
Okay. Now, the next one is quite interesting. If you are given a superpower of reading people's mind for one day, what would you do with that power?
Very interesting. Since I'm interested in politics, I would definitely go and try to read, some of the leaders' minds. That what were
Okay.
you thinking? How
Okay.
could you create this mess?
Yeah, this is nice. This is a nice answer. Okay, so what is your favorite thing to do in a free time?
Uh, I go out for walks a lot, because I live amidst nature. It's beautiful. So I go out for walks. I listen to music. I love listening to Coke Studio music. They're so
Okay.
experimental and
Ah, yeah.
edgy, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, these are the two things which I generally do in my free time.
Okay. So now this is another interesting one. Do you believe in the concept of JOMO, and has it ever happened to you?
I'm
Do you
so
know JOMO?
I'm so sorry. What is Jomo?
JOMO. Sorry, I've made it wrong. It has to be FOMO. Sorry, JOMO is actually the opposite of it. That's joy of missing out, and FOMO
Oh,
is fear of missing out. So have you experienced FOMO?
uh, when I saw Ambani wedding, very
Yeah.
weirdly, I had a FOMO, though I would have never been invited anyway. But
Okay.
sometimes, during Durga Puja, the festive seasons, I do have it a lot. And that's when I switch off my social media. I don't want to look at all those happy faces. But yeah, I do suffer from that from time to time because I live in a very isolated place. It's beautiful, but how much of nature can you take all the time? So yeah, I do.
That's true. Okay, so your favorite food?
I love biryani of all kinds,
Oh,
but more so the oud variety, not the Hyderabadi, which is very jhal, very
okay,
spicy. No,
okay, okay.
the one with aloo.
Acha, that's the Kolkata style, I guess,
Yes,
with aloo
yes,
and
yes.
Kolkata biryani. Okay, so the last is any secret hobby apart from writing?
From a early age, I've always thought of myself as a poet, but I'm not. There are when there's good weather, when it's early morning and I'm feeling fresh, I have this habit of penning down lines, and I imagine I can write. So yeah, it is kind of a secret hobby, I would say.
I think it will come to you soon because it's trying to get out of you slowly, but it will come.
Yeah,
Don't
there are
worry.
so many emotions, right? Tug of war. So yeah.
Okay, so lastly, I would like to ask you one question, and this is something that I ask very often to many of the writers. But since you are based in, like England, so I want to ask you that if there's some Indian writer who want to get their work published and they're not getting that kind of platform through the place they are living in abroad, so is it okay they get published in India? Is it that kind of I mean, they get that kind of traction? So what
There
advice will you give?
Yeah, this is something that even I'm grappling with, frankly speaking. There are some literary agencies in US. I'm based in US, so Lotus Lane literary agencies there that help that work with South Asian writers. And there are several more. There is one based in Singapore. Out of Singapore, they also work with South Asian writers. But it's fine to publish in India because it's easier to get noticed there. There are a lot of literary agencies that are working with a long list of clients right now, writers right now. So it's fine as long as you remember that once you get published in India, you will have to make some arrangement of making it available in the country you're living in. If you have an arrangement with your publisher, that's great. Or if you can cut a deal with some other publisher to bring out an edition of the book already published in India, that's also a good thing. I think there's generally in the contract it said that there's a cooling off period of 2 years, and then you can look at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is something that we are all straddling. We are all trying to understand. It's not very easy right now. I hope with time there'll be more collaborations between US and Indian, publishing firms, and it becomes easier for South Asian writers.
Because I was told by one of the writers who lives in Dallas, her name is Lopa Banerjee. I don't know if you know her, but she told me that here in her place, it was really difficult for her to get a publisher because they wouldn't, publish an Indian writer. So somehow
Yeah.
she had to find some publishers who were actually Indian, but they were publishing, South Asian writers and all. So
Right.
that's how she got published. But most of her works were published in India. So I see that kind of challenge is there with the writers who
It
are,
is
like
there.
South Asian writers. Yeah.
It's changing, but the change is very slow. There are a lot of writers who are in the diaspora who are writing Indian stories, and slowly but surely there is a market for Indian stories and Indian books. It will take a couple of maybe half a decade more for people to understand that how magical Indian writing also can be. As I said, Lotus Lane is one of those literary agencies that work with South Asian workers, and there's a couple of more. I can share some links with you if that is useful for your audience.
Okay, that would be lovely. So, Shreya, it was lovely talking to you. I had really good time knowing about your journey and also about your book. And since it's available in India, I'll also pick a copy. But you will
Please
have to
do.
give me time because my TBR is really big. If so
Yeah.
many authors have given me with books and they want reviews, so you will have to give me the time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, take your time, please. I would rather have you read it and enjoy it when you have time than rush through it. And also, I want a copy of your book. Where can I find
Okay.
it? Can you? Because in December I'm
Uh,
going to India. Maybe I can pick up a copy then.
yeah, if you come to India, it will be easily available because it's on Amazon, or also you can directly get it from me. So I'll wait for
Okay.
you to come. Yeah.
Great, great, great. I look forward to that. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
Absolutely. The pleasure is all mine. You have a great day ahead. Bye.
You too. Bye bye.
So I was talking to Shreya Sarkar, who is also a journalist and author, and also she wears many hats because she writes short stories. She is also a person who likes to cook. So all the journey we have covered through our interview. So do watch this. This is also going to be on YouTube. So do subscribe and also follow me on Spotify. So I'm Mona Lisa Joshi signing off. Bye. Take care.